All right, Ian, we have a Patreon poll topic.
Tell me about the Patreon, Pat. Where do we go?
Oh, Ian, we give you stuff at the Patreon.
Okay.
Ian gives you writing.
And they give us money.
They give us money.
They give us money.
And in return, it's the video podcast is dispensed out in a nice little like coin slot little device.
You get the whole podcast.
You get all this awkwardness here.
Pat, you're not good at this. So you go to patreon.com/CU podcast.
Okay.
You'll see the things you can get in exchange for your money on about a monthly basis. You'll give us some of that money if you want, and we'll reciprocate with cool stuff and a big thanks for supporting us. So here's today's Patreon topic.
Okay. That they vote on, Ian? They vote on it.
They voted on it. You, the viewer, you, the patrons, voted on this topic.
Is good. I'm learning.
So, with 25%, we have when will GameStop stop accepting PS3, 360, Wii, and Wii U game systems for trade? With 33, we've got what would your ideal game collection consist of if price was no object? And with 42%, was it harder to produce the SNES book due to having less experience versus the NES? Pat,
does that mean
this is laser focused on you, bud?
Predator target on my chest?
Yeah.
Triangle?
Do it.
Oh, wow. Well, am I working on a Super Nintendo book? That's right. You can pre-order at ultimatesnes.com. I forgot about that. So
you can give him money in exchange for a future promise.
Yeah, future promise. It's a product, Ian. It's a pre-order. Can't have the internet coming after me. Yes. It was harder. Absolutely. So one of the ways that I got around this was obviously I did a lot less writing myself. And I hired an editor to help and do fact checking. And there was a lot more due diligence, I would say, on the Super Nintendo book to make sure that things were accurate and correct. And plus, I honed in on better writers that I trusted more. Not that I didn't trust the last ones, but we'll just say a couple writers didn't make the cut on the Super Nintendo book versus NES. Sorry, that's the reality. It's just how it worked out. And I hired a couple more professional writers. Christina, who had actually written professionally on a website before, Game Reviews, for example, did over 100 reviews. So that was, to me, the issue was that, first and foremost, is that making sure that a writer writing about a game that I had no real knowledge of was doing it correctly. So how do you do that? You hire someone else to make sure that they do it correctly. So a lot less on Pat's shoulders, thankfully, there. And I only wrote 80 reviews versus 450 as well. So yes, and every writer is obviously playing through the games and making sure that but things happen, mistakes happen. You can say, oh, there was 5 stages instead of 6, or this power up was not named correctly. These things happen. No book's going to be perfect. No reference guide is going to be perfect. Absolutely. But one of the biggest, I think, hardest parts of this book was maybe making sure that like PAL variants were named correctly, that you accommodated for things of that nature. The availabilities of the Super Nintendo games that I know a lot less about than NES games that Ian helped me out with on some of them there. Just not knowing that, a writer might take for granted, oh, it's a sports game, is common. No. That could be a rare game, even if it's going for only $7 on eBay. That Andre Agassi tennis could be a lot harder to find than you think. So that was really the more technical challenges there. The articles, not really a challenge as much, and like the promo and special cards, everyone knows what those are for the most part. Pixel Dan helped me out with one of those, by the way.
Oh, did he?
The preview cartridge, not a game, the preview cartridge that ran in the kiosks.
Oh, neat.
Incredibly rare, and Dan found one at a thrift store.
That's pretty awesome.
So the NES, I'll just say this, the writing was more difficult because we had to have more careful notes and back and forth with the writers. The actual production, though, has been easier because I learned from the first time the pitfalls of what not to do. So I think that might have evened itself out over the 3 years the book's been worked on. 3 years? It's been 3 years almost. Jesus, I gotta cut down the times. Ian, what do you think? Game Boy Black and White next, or N64? What do you think, Ian? I'll let you, the viewer, decide. That'll be a Patreon poll topic.
I would say,
well, you're
Genesis.
biased. Genesis?
Yeah.
That's not in the branding, Ian. I don't know, like Ultimate Sega.
Don't care. Branch out, diversify. You're getting old.
Would you come back? Would you come back on board and do some Genesis reviews, Ian? Would you come back on board and do some?
Maybe.
That's a no. Okay, come on, Ian. Has it been less? You've seen me the 3 years of doing both. Has it been less wear and tear on me for the Super Nintendo book, or just as much, or a little bit less? It's been less.
I don't know. I mean, you're kind of the same. You're always at like a cruise control speed of catastrophe.
55. Catastrophe? What?
You're on
cruise control of catastrophe?
You're on cruise control to catastrophe.
What catastrophe have I been cruising into?
I have no idea. I don't know. You just
Jesus.
seem like everything's catastrophic.
It's not catastrophic. It's juggling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of project managers juggling shit.
I think you should probably learn to juggle 3 balls before you druggle. Before you
druggle?
Before you learn to
you're
juggle.
You're
6.
on druggling.
I'm on too little sleep.
What am I juggling that's too much right now? Ian? What else am I juggling?
Nothing.
Documentary. Maybe a Pat the Ants Punk video I have to edit that was shot a year ago. What else?
Jesus, I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe you shouldn't forget about it anymore.
No, I didn't forget about it. I've actually got to get the CG still on that and get that going. Okay, well, thanks for your question there. Speaking of polls and voting, Ross Perot passed away today. That lovable business minx, Ross Perot. It was 89 he was? I thought it was 89 back in the 90s.
I feel nothing.
If nothing for Ross Perot?
I feel nothing.
That was an entertaining character.
He's old.
Time.
I mean, it was time for him, I guess, to go home.
So last week I was a hermit. This week I'm cruise control of catastrophe.
Yeah.
Okay, Ian, man.
You're a catastrophic hermit.